Hey members, welcome to a brand new video in my Vilhon Reach series. I hope that you've been enjoying it. If you're a brand new member, welcome in. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your support. For those who are new, let me give you the 3 reasons that I am making these videos. Number 1, this stuff is sitting on my shelf. It is having no purpose, and so I decided I'm going to share it with all of you. Number 2, I believe this is one of the best settings in the Forgotten Realms, and I wanted to share that with you as well as I am building my own setting. And number 3, learn some world building, because I believe there's a tremendous amount to learn from this particular setting that you can adapt to your own setting or homebrew or sandbox. And if you are interested, I am working on my own homebrew little sandbox. It is a horror hex crawl, and you can find it in my Crit Happens zine. It starts with issue number 4, which gives you all the basics of my horror hex crawl, and then I start developing some of the factions that are within that setting. And then in issue number 5, we begin with the Witches of the Blackened Earth, who set off this hex that has created all this chaos within their land. And then issue number 6 will be the Corrupted, and hopefully that will be out very soon. And if you're a member of this channel, you get these zines for free. All you have to do is contact me, give me your email address, happy to send it your way. Welcome to the enchanting yet treacherous Vilhon Reach. Your journey begins with the Twin Guardians, Illigon and Wavecrest, the Eyes of Sylvanus. These islands are notorious for their magnetic anomalies, playing tricks on your compass and testing even the most seasoned sailor's skills. To enter the Reach, you have 2 daring options: the perilous Far Shore Straits, a narrow waterway favored by smaller vessels seeking to evade watchful eyes, or the direct yet daunting passage between the Twin Islands. The latter route, though preferred by larger ships, is fraught with danger. The island of Xenos, or just Xenos if the I is silent, I couldn't find a right pronunciation. It's home to the fearsome Amazon warriors, lurks nearby ready to challenge any who dare to trespass. For those seeking a more intimate encounter with the Reach, the Paddle Straits offer a unique experience. This narrow waterway, nestled between Wavecrest and the mainland, is a labyrinth of jagged rocks and thick fog. Only the bravest of sailors and the most agile of rowboats dare to navigate its treacherous waters. Now you may be wondering, why is it called the Eyes of Sylvanus? Well, the islands of Wavecrest and Illigon make up those 2 eyes. And what makes this really cool is that these islands are guarded. In fact, all of Vilhon Reach is guarded by 7 Sentinels of Sylvanus. There are 4 water elements and 3 air elements. And this reminds me of Waterdeep, where they have 8 gargantuan statues which guard the city should there be any trouble and they need to be activated, which I think having cities that have guardians is such a good idea. If you think of your own setting or my setting, I mean, what would you have guarding your city? Could it be a stone Tarrasque? Could it be a group of water weirds that are surrounding your city in various fountains? Give it some thought and let me know in the comments, what do you think would make a cool guardian for your setting? Now let me break down each of the eyes for you. The first is Wavecrest. Those members of the Emerald Enclave who sought to master wilderness survival reportedly traveled to Wavecrest. The island was known for its untamed jungles full of mysteries and danger. However, the Enclave did not share its knowledge of the island with outsiders, and that's according to Forgotten Realms fandom. So there you have an island already that is uncharted in some ways, and maybe it's used as kind of a survival place where they send their druids to see if they can make it into the Enclave. Like, they send a group of people over there, and if they can survive 24 hours, well, then they are admitted into the Enclave. Or maybe you want to send your players over there for just some exploring, and maybe there's some crazy treasure over there that they don't even know about. The island is also known for these bipedal creatures. They are fiendish creatures with glowing eyes. Now, what those fiendish creatures are with glowing eyes, well, that is completely up to you. Over on Xenos, or as I like to call it, the Nose of Sylvanus, I said earlier that is populated by Amazons, and these are kind of she-wolves. I see them as dressed in wolf furs. And according to the Forgotten Realms fandom, there's about 250 women in this mercenary group, which, boy, that would be interesting if your player characters happen to be a bit misogynistic. I'd like to see how they fare over there. And now a word about Ilagon, or Ilagon, whichever way you choose to pronounce it. It is the home to the Emerald Enclave. And all over the island, well, wizards, you're not going to do very well here. There is a ban on wizard spells, so you're going to have to figure out what to do with yourself if you can't cast any spells. Although clerics, your magic works perfectly fine, and so you'll be in good shape. But your wizards, yeah, they're not going to fare so well, so you might want to have a plan for that. Speaking of clerics and adding insult to wizards, the following spells are granted to those clerics, specialty priests, and druids who serve one of the three patrons of the Enclave. Those spells are typically not available to priests that are not concerned with nature, but the final decision is left to the DM. The three spells are 4th level spells. The first one is Faith Magic Zone, which is an abjuration. This spell causes all non-clerical magic in the area of effect to be slowed down, resulting in a +3 penalty to initiative. Magical items which call on non-clerical spells are likewise penalized by a +3 reaction penalty. The penalty to casting time takes effect the moment the spell is completed, even if the opposing spell was being cast while the Faith Magic Zone spell was being cast. There is no visible effect to the spell other than a silver radiance that emanates from the priest that cast the spell. Note that since the priest is not necessarily the center of the spell's effect, there is no sure way for observers to know where the limits of the spell's effects are located. Creatures within the zone gain a +3 bonus on all saving throws versus wizard spells, while the Faith Magic Zone remains in effect. It can be dispelled normally. The material components for the spell are the priest's holy symbol and a vial of honey collected from a bee's nest. Now, I won't get into detail with the other two spells, but the other two spells are Retarget, which is a metamagic spell. This spell allows the caster to choose any spell cast during the retarget's duration and turn it back on any creature within spell range. Now, this sounds very familiar. On Monday nights, if you're not aware, we have a Shadow Dark live campaign, and we play every Monday night, 6 p.m. Central Time, 7 p.m. Eastern, and it's on my channel, Joe the Lawyer's channel, and Gothridge Manor channel. And I can't remember if this is spells, but I know for sure that my physical attacks have bounced back to me and caused damage. I need to ask Tim if he's been reading Vilhon Reach and nabbing these spells to use against us. And the third spell that you have access to is called Wind Lance, and it is an alteration. This spell is primarily used by druids and other shapeshifters as a method of escape. The moment the spell is cast, a powerful burst of air launches the spellcaster and any other creature unfortunate enough to be in the same 10-foot square skyward from 120 to 600 feet as chosen by the priest. So basically, you can launch yourself into the air. It activates your shape change. So if you're a bird, you can just shoot up into the sky. You change into a creature of flight, and you can just take off. Whereas anybody holding on to you at that time is not going to be able to do that, and they shall plummet to the earth. So I guess if you're a cleric and you serve one of the Enclave's three patrons, you are gifted these in some manner. I, as a DM, might reserve that for accomplishment or reward for some mission they do for the Enclave. All right, let's look at a few other areas of interest on the island of Ilagon. There's Archentry. Archentry is not a city as much as a gathering place for treants. Many of the treants of Archentry are extremely old and prone to ignore the calls and pleas of humans seeking aid or wisdom. The Calling River. In ages past, the Druids of the Reach made a pilgrimage to the island of Ilagon to heed a call from Sylvanus. When they arrived, they followed the calling to its source and built the House of Sylvanus. Druid Home. More a collection of groves than an actual village, the Druid Home serves as a community of old druids, priests, and rangers who are serving out their final years of service to one of the three nature powers. While most of the residents simply wish to be left alone, they are still devout in their faith to their gods. Should an attack occur against the House of Sylvanus or even against the island itself, these followers would most certainly be on the front lines. Eldath's Ring. Eldath, goddess of the singing waters, serves as the protector of Ilagon, shielding it from direct naval attack. In addition, the Faith Magic Zone extends 2 miles from the ring on all sides. Elder River. Religious stories claim that the eldest druid on the island walked to its northernmost point to stare across the vastness of the inner sea during the founding of the Emerald Enclave. He fasted and prayed for a fortnight before returning to the home of the House of Sylvanus with a plan to protect the Vilhon Reach and the nature within it. The river has been known as the Eldar ever since. Far Shore Straits. This narrow strip of water serves as an alternative entrance and exit from the Reach. While most ships choose to go through the Eye of Sylvanus, a few ships try to navigate the Far Shore. The Afron Mountains can be seen from the shores of Ilagon near the Far Shore Straits. This area is frequently used in tracking ships' traffic. Grandlore Forest. This forest is the largest on the island, dedicated to the first recorded Grand Druid of the area, Antonius, Loremaster Mistwind. It covers more than half the island and is divided by the Elder River to the north and the Calling River to the south. Great Forest. This forest is the smallest of Ilagon, stopping at the Calling River to the west and the Hierophant Trail to the east. Of course, anything could be in the Great Forest. The Great Forest is just there for you to put some really cool stuff in it. Hierophant Trail. Virtually all of the overland activity of Ilagon is confined to this small trail. The Druids have taken a dim view on the establishment of any other trails into the area. It is used primarily by those who wish to pray at the House of Sylvanus. So Hierophant Trail could really just be a pilgrimage trail. And there could be robbers, there could be thieves, there could be all kinds of things that are going on that trail that the adventurers have to investigate. Lake Blue Springs. Few of the residents of Sapra ever make it farther west than the shores of the Blue Springs. Lake Blue Springs itself is a popular getaway for the residents, but the areas beyond the lake are wild and untamed. Maliki's Garden. Many of the oaks that grow on the island are contained within the Maliki Garden. Whether this has to do with the presence of the treants in the Archon tree is subject to much speculation, but sages are quick to point out that the treants would have made their home in the garden because of the oaks. I don't know, I see these treants just getting wild at some point. I think these treants start to either rebel or something. They have some shenanigans, these trees, and they start to plan and plot because they don't feel like they're getting cared for or something. I think it's just like old people rebelling when they don't get their jello at supper time. Springbrook River. This river is one of three that are fed from the pool surrounding the House of Sylvanus, roaring down the Elder Spires. It empties into the Springbrook Shallows. And finally, Springbrook Shallows. The pool is the second most holy spot on the island, and many druids come here to contemplate important decisions. The freshwater pool is roughly 4 feet deep and its deepest point, and it is always fresh and clear. Legend claims that Sylvanus used the shallows as a bathing pool during his visits to the prime material. So basically, adventurers could go on a quest to gather Sylvanus's bathwater. Sure, why not? Or maybe that pool has some powers in it that you could sprinkle over it as a DM. It sounds kind of funny, but this just sounds like a retirement home for druids, and the Sylvanus, the Temple of Sylvanus, is like the HOA, and they kind of control the whole island, and who gets in and who gets out, and you have too many Christmas lights, and you can't park your car on the side of the thing there because it messes up everything. I don't know. It's an interesting island, if nothing else, and I think it has some potential for the DM to put some things on there. If things can't happen from without, then definitely things are going to happen from within. So I think there are possibilities for conspiracies, or somebody's there to overthrow the House of Sylvanus. Something can go on from within that gives it a lot of political intrigue. Coming up next in my series on the Vilhon Reach will be an exploration of Termish. We'll start getting into the cities of the Vilhon Reach, and we'll talk about politics, we'll talk about customs, we'll talk about festivals, we'll talk about all the little cities inside of Termish, and all the various plot hooks and whatnot that you can grab from that to put in your own sandbox. And if you're enjoying this series and you know some other people who might enjoy it as well, why not share it with others and say, hey, become a member, and you can get some special perks. You get the Crit Happen zine, special access to more videos I'm going to be putting out, as well as some live streams that I'll be doing in 2025. So share this membership page with others and say, hey, let's join and be a part of a community that loves to talk about old school games, old school lore, and old school settings. But that's it for today's video. Hope you guys are having an awesome day, and I'll see you in the next one.